What's going on, riders? Today I have a very exciting video that I'm interested to tell you guys about. Uh, it is going to be the cutting laser versus the needle. This is very interesting. They are very similar, but there are a small few select things that differ between them that I think you might want to know. First thing we're going to be talking about is going to be in that cutting laser, that first module we got this cycle, and how it's changed. Here is the stat sheet for the cutting laser. I'm not sure why the turret tracking and the activation time duration is green. I took the screenshot on a fresh clone, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But if you want to pause and actually look at the stats and compare them to any other screenshots you may have in the past, go ahead and do so. But the biggest thing that I note here is that optimal range. It used to be 35 and it was dropped down to 15. Taking a look at the use with tab, we can still use the synthetic lens as well as the recycled lens. However, they did add being able to use the needle lens with the cutting laser, which I think is kind of cool, but we'll talk about that's worth later on. Now we're going to talk about the newcomer on the block, the needle, and some of its stats and what it can use. At first glance, it looks almost identical to cutting laser, but you'll notice that the mining efficiency is lower, which is to be expected because this is a majority of a PvP module. That being said, the range increase is really nice. It's kind of like the original cutting laser before this last update, which I find that to be pretty interesting. It's kind of like an almost upgrading a mining laser that's meant for killing people. So you're essentially mining people. Taking a look at the use with tab, you can see that we can still use all three lenses. The needle lens, which was made for this, the synthetic lens, which was made for the cutting laser, and the recycling lens, which was also made for the cutting laser. Which I think is kind of cool, because if you run out of your needles, you'll still be able to use your synthetic lenses. The next thing we're going to talk about, since it's new, is going to be that needle lens. Looking at the side-by-side comparison to the synthetic mining lens, you'll see that the needle lens has a higher volatility percentage as well as volatility damage that it receives the more you use it. What that means is that the needle lens will burn up a lot faster than the synthetic mining lens. However, the needle lens does give you 5 more damage to thermal than the synthetic lens does, and with it ramping up the damage wise, you'll end up getting about, I think, anywhere from 15 to 25 more damage per shot, depending on which module you're using this lens in. In order to make the needle lens, you're going to need 15,000 silicon dust, which I'm actually kind of happy about this because I end up occurring a crap ton of silicon dust, and I end up just throwing it away because I don't need that much. That being said, I still feel that 15,000 dust is quite a hefty toll to pay for how fast this lens burns up. That being said, you know, if they cut it down just a little bit, tweak the numbers a little bit, I think it actually might be worth making these in the long run. You'll just have a lot more time that you have to reload. This next part of the video, I'm not really going to talk a lot. I'm basically just going to be putting images on the screen showing which module I'm using with which lens I'm using. That way you can see the numbers and just let them speak for themselves. Alright, so ending remarks. I like the module. The needle is pretty awesome. I love the range of it. The fact that it can use mining lenses and still be able to mine is phenomenal. The lens itself is kind of expensive for how fast it burns out, for the little bit of a bonus it gives. That being said, if you have a bunch of silicon dust, hey, it's not going to hurt to make a crap ton of these things and just burn through them as fast as you want. Silicon dust is very prevalent, so you know it's a good use for it at this current state in the game. That being said, whether you use it or not, we'll leave that up to you. Until next time, riders.